Right, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well. It's been a long time. And thank you so much to Phil for stepping in for me last week. I was feeling a little under the weather, but it's great to be back. My name, of course, is Russell Gerber, with you for the next half an hour for the Boma show. And of course, we'll be going through some of the highlights from the last few days, some of the things you might have missed on the cameras. And of course, we'll be taking your questions. If you do have any questions, don't remember to register on the website. You can pop through your questions just below the viewing screen. And I'll do my best to get to all the questions I can during the show. We've had some great things on the cameras in the last few days. We'll be going over some of those highlights. And just before we go through that, I wanted to give a quick reminder to all of you to join us tomorrow for our On Point show, where Phil and I will be going through the birds of Africa, which had about various bird species that we get and different migratory species, and touch on all the different aspects of the viewing of birds from our cameras around the country. So today we've started off at the beautiful Tembe, as you can see. Got this gorgeous elephant bull enjoying the mud. As I mentioned, we've had a lot of action at the various cameras over the weekend, particularly here at Tembe. And we've got some lovely videos of a lot of lion action that we've had around Tembe from the weekend. And welcome to Andre Rand. Well, thank you for joining us. Margaret and Leo, thank you for the welcome back. And Stephanie, it's good to be with you all once again. So without further ado, then let's kick into our first highlight from the weekend, where we'll go into this beautiful video of these lionesses stalking at sunset. Give you some time just to listen. You can see these ladies intent on some of the nyala that were on the other side of the waterhole. As you can see, the younger sub-adults on the far right, not interested at all. She prefers to be fed rather than doing any work for the food. Much like my own daughter, I'll be honest. If you have a look at that female in the middle, you'll see that she is, of course, collared. And she is the most senior in the pride, and that's why she has a collar and none of the others. Those collars are already there simply for research purposes. The telemetry collar, so that they can track down this lioness and Because she is the most senior, it's likely that the rest of the pride will be with her. We've been asked many times if that's how the rangers actually find the lionesses, but that's not at all the reasoning for it. It's simply to help with research programs, as I mentioned, and the game management of the reserve itself. So we have to use all the old school skills of tracking and using the sights and sounds and smells of the bush. And of course our local guides who know the territories of these prides, where they tend to move, areas they tend to move through when they're hunting. You can see a little bit of play between the pride as well. That comes back to some of that gregariousness we've chatted about with the lionesses. And we'll go straight into another one, also from the weekend. This is also at Tembe, as I mentioned. And we were lucky enough to have a number of the lions around for a few days. We chatted about this a few weeks ago as well, that it's likely we'll start seeing more and more of the predators around the waterholes, especially in the early mornings and late afternoons. And for those of you who stay up late, we'll get them at night as well. Most of these prefer to be more active and hunt in the evenings. Just give it a minute, you'll see that lioness coming through there. Just using the cover of these acacia bushes to keep herself hidden. Just surveying what potential opportunity there might be. You listen carefully, you can hear the alarm calls of the impala. So unfortunately for her, the jig is up. They know that she's around. Those alarm calls, of course, will alert all the other potential prey species to her presence. And though she's extremely fast and powerful over short distances, if she's been spotted like this, it'll be almost impossible for her to take something down. What you'll find is she'll normally lay down, relax, wait for the sun to go down a little bit more, and then use the cover of darkness to start her stalk all over again. It's exciting to see that we're getting more of the predators coming around. For sure, we're going to get more and more of that as time goes on. We get into the drier seasons. Again, we've spoken about that in the past. The main reason for that is simply that the small puddles of water and small water holes around the reserve that have been filled up with the heavy rains we've had, they're all starting to dry up now. And our cameras are located at the permanent water sources of the reserves. So for most of the animals, that's the only place to get water in the dry season, and concentrates them all in one area. That was the nice little surprise that we were waiting for. You can see here another sister in the pride, and she came around and gave the rest of the pride a nice big fright. Look at them now, how they're all rolling into each other, giving each other a good rub. Just reinforcing those social bonds. Group of lionesses like this are very tight and will stay together almost all their life. And the same group that we saw in the previous video as well. As I said, really blessed with the lion viewing that we've had. So keep your eye out at Tembe. As I say, we've had a lot of good luck there. I don't know what might come down to the water hole live on the cameras, but as I said, this is just from the weekend, so it's likely they haven't gone too far. Thomas Downey was asking why did they get so scared. As I mentioned, Thomas, it was actually that lioness we watched coming into screen. She'd obviously been away from the rest of the pride, and she'd been likely tracking them by scent, trying to join up with them again. And as she came around the edge of that acacia, she gave them a big fright. They weren't sure who she was before recognizing her. But a lovely clip from Tembe. We've got another one here that I wanted to show you. This one's from Olifants. It's just the backside of a gorgeous little porcupine. What we're going to do is turn the audio right up so you can hear. Just listen carefully now. He goes into the bush. So if you listen carefully there, we'll cross back live now for now, Max. But if you listen carefully in that video, you could actually hear big male lion calling in the background while that porcupine was wandering through the bushes. And that one was around Olifants, also over the weekend. Like I mentioned, loads and loads of lions around. Tend to be active in the late afternoon or early evening. Back live at Tembe now. We're going to cross over to Tau. Got a lovely close-up view of this big old crocodile. You can see not much bothering that crocodile at the moment. Just relaxing in the shallow waters. Of course, the water levels dropped here significantly at Tau. Things getting very dry. If you've been with us for a while in the dry season last year, you will remember that Tau was very dry, very sandy. Of course, a Kalahari type climate, so very dry area. As things start to dry out, I know we saw some last week. I think Phil showed you some of those videos. It plays nicely into the crocodile's hands. As things get drier, the area where fish species can actually move around the waterhole smaller and smaller, and they can start feasting on all those fish. So your crocodiles and your aquatic birds that often hang around the edge of the water, like your herons and cranes, storks, it's a great time of feasting for them as they head into the winter. Keep those questions coming, folks, if you've got anything on your mind out there. This is live now at Tau. But another rare sighting for you that we also caught on the cameras over the weekend. This was at Nkoro. It's not every day we get one of these. Let's see if any of you out there can guess who this special visitor was to the waterhole. So let me know what your thoughts are. He's obviously in the canid family. Tend to see his cousin more often. This was really a special sighting. He was quite relaxed. Couple more seconds to make your educated guess. Okay, I think that's enough now. A lovely little clip, like I mentioned. And this little chap, of course, is... So you got it right first. Laura, you got it right. Andre, 100%. Margaret, Leo, you got it right as well. This is, of course, a side-striped jackal. They're only found in the northern and eastern areas of the southern African region. And they tend to be mostly nocturnal, unlike their cousins who are more crepuscular or active in the early mornings or early evenings. Most of the time you'll see them on their own like this, from time to time in pairs. Their cousins, they are fairly omnivorous. They'll go for all sorts of things. ranging from mammals, small mammals, all the way through to fruit and, of course, carrion. He goes. And they're quite low, of course, on that predator hierarchy that we chatted about a couple of weeks ago on the On Point show. But a lovely long clip of this, one of our rarer visitors to the Africam cameras. Well done, all of you. I've got a video, and I'll show you quickly, of a blackback jackal. This one was at Nkoro. Got a blackback jackal video that I'll just show you from Naledi. Give you a idea how different they do look. I mentioned before that my mom once referred to these little chaps as silver-backed foxes. They are, of course, blackback jackals, but it always makes me think of them. Now, you can see clearly the difference between the two. So let's head back live now to Tau. We got a question from Susie who asked, the waterbucks are grazing in the water at Tau. Crocs are pretty big there. Could they take down a waterbuck? Susie, they absolutely could. A big, fully grown crocodile could take down even an adult waterbuck. But it all comes down to necessity. Obviously, for a crocodile, a big animal like a waterbuck is a risky thing to take down. It's big, powerful, and the potential to injure a crocodile. And as we mentioned, at the moment, with the water level dropping in the water holes, and catfish running out of areas, and tilapia running out of area, crocodile tend to gorge themselves on fish, and they're really just content to leave the waterbuck be. Because of their adaptation as well, waterbuck, for being near water, they have a special adaptation where their split hooves are quite far apart, and it helps them to maneuver through the mud easier than other species like zebra. They can quickly take off if need be. So if they're in shallow water, don't feel too worried about those crocodiles. So I hope that answers your question. Laura McGrew asked, do porcupines shoot their quills, or is this a myth? Laura, thank you for the question. It is actually a myth. The quills of the porcupine are not shot at all. Why sometimes people think that is that when threatened, porcupines will stand those quills right up on end, and they can actually rattle them, which gives the impression that they're moving and can actually shoot them. That rattling noise is just to warn whatever that threat may be to stay back. But the quills do come out easily if the predator does actually come into contact with them. And of course, the porcupine can back up quickly or use its tail to swing it into the potential predator. And when they do hit, they have little barbs on the end that will then stick in the paw or face or neck of that potential predator. Young leopards and lions are often the victims of said porcupine quill attacks. Times it can be really quite bad. Of course, don't have opposable thumbs. They can't get them out. Even though lions are in a pride, always so sure how to pull them out, even with their teeth or with the other members helping out. They can get infected, and it can be really bad for those individuals. Look at this male giraffe. Looks like he's found either a shallow little water hole, but it could be more likely just a salt lick, salty area to help increase sodium. Giraffes also practice a interesting behavior called osteophagy, where they actually eat the bones of other animals. Helps to increase the calcium in their blood and in their bodies. Such a big animal and holding such a lot of weight, of course. Having good calcium in your diet for strong bones is pretty important. And Sally asked, how many pups can they have in a litter? Sally, I assume you're talking about the jackal that we were chatting about. So jackals generally will have around about 4 to 6 pups. And they weigh only about 200 grams, very small when they're born. They'll mostly use the abandoned burrows of other species. Male and females will actually regurgitate food for the young or carry it back in their mouth once the pups start eating solid food. Quite seasonal too, the blackback jackals as well. You often see that they do have pups between the winter months from around August through to December, so the early summer. The most predominant time, as I say, through the winter and into spring. Generally, things are tough for the herbivores. There's a lot of carrion and potential prey species around. One more question from Margaret. Will the quills grow back? Yes, Margaret, they do grow back. They'll keep growing them through their whole life to keep them protected until they get old, or of course they get a virus or a sickness. Then yes, just like losing fur, they will start losing quills. But a young porcupine will grow those quills back, no problem. We had a lovely view of these giraffe and zebra at Tau this afternoon. Haven't even been across there today. I think let's have a look at elephants before we head out. Just to have a look. It's always a nice view from there, and we'll see what might be coming on down. On that note, folks, we're going to start wrapping up. And I just wanted to remind you for tomorrow's show on point at 2:30 Central African time. Myself and Phil will be taking you through the birds of Africa. The show, of course, will be half an hour, and once we're done, we'll be putting it up on the website for you guys to view. Reminder to all of you out there to please let your friends and family know about AfriCam. Send them our way. Thank you to our loyal subscribers, and mind those non-subscribers out there that there are lots of benefits to joining. The biggest benefit is that the more people we have, the more cameras we can get out there in the field. We can enjoy those incredible views and sights and sounds together. We will, of course, continue doing the shows for all of you. If there's anything you'd like to see or anything you're interested in, please feel free to let us know in an email or in your comments or questions during the shows. Doesn't seem to be much around at Olifantsfontein, but from myself and the AfriCam team, thank you so much for joining us once again. I hope you enjoyed the Boma show. We'll see you all very soon. I'll be back tomorrow at 2:30. Have a wonderful evening. Keep an eye out for those lions at Tembe and here at Olifantsfontein. Keep well. Stay safe, everybody. Chat soon. Cheers for now.